Hello there! This is LEGO Dynasty, and today here's my review of the LEGO Star Wars Mos Espa Podrace. It is set number 75380, comes with 718 pieces, is rated ages 18 and up. And this set retails in the United States for $79.99 and in Canada for $99.99. Now, without further ado, let's kick off this review, starting with the box. Now, take a look at the box. Obviously, it is on the 18 plus style box art with the all black, the set in front, and then a light emanating behind it, this one being a lightish white color, which is interesting. Kind of would have thought they would have gone yellow to represent Tatooine. You do have, of course, the 25 years of LEGO Star Wars logo here, along with the other Centennial box art on the bottom there, which looks pretty nice. You also have the logo of the Luke homestead with the twin suns, so that's pretty nice. I believe that was also on the Luke Skywalker Landspeeder UCS set. Flipping the set around, you can see some more like imagery, or kind of in a different angle, of the ship flying through the canyon, chasing after Sabobas there. You can see shots directly from the Phantom Menace pod racing scene, and then you have the dimensions, specifically the width of the set, which is 30 centimeters or 12 inches long, so it's definitely a decent sized diorama set. Take a look at the manual. As you can see, it is on a rendered image, which again I bring up, but the 18 plus manuals do look a little bit better, though I do prefer when it was the box art reprinted on the manuals in general, as it just looks so much better. Inside, because it is an 18 plus set, you get initial write-up and imagery from the films about why they chose to do the set. You also have a reference to the Ultimate Insider's Guide book, which for a while, when this first launch, wasn't available in Canada at all. It was only available, I believe, in the US and maybe in some parts of Europe. Now it is available in Canada, probably because it wasn't selling well. It's definitely very expensive, but it's still a pretty cool book. Take a look at the extra pieces I was left with following the build. And as you can see, for a set of this size, you're left with quite a few. That's mostly because some of the parts you use come in its own bag. So like all these parts that kind of look like tools all come in their own bag, so, and you only end up needing 2 of the pieces, so that ends up leaving you with quite a few. But you can see also some studs and tile pieces that you can add to your collection for free. Now take a look at the diorama itself, and I have to say it does look pretty nice on display. Now, of course, it is, very interesting to do it in this scale. This is very similar to the Trench Run diorama. In fact, that's really the only other diorama set that it's similar to, just in the fact that they're using sort of micro vehicles and no figures like other diorama sets, or the majority of diorama sets have had. It still looks pretty cool, though I do wish we had in general gotten some extra figures that would have gone on the little display stand. Specifically, obviously, in this set would have been a young Anakin and a Saboba. Obviously, couldn't put them on their miniature little pod racers, but just having them on display I think would have made a lot of sense for a set like this. Of course, the Trench Run diorama didn't have that, so it was unlikely we would have got something like that, but I still feel like minifigures would aid a set like this. Now, it does have, of course, your printed 25 years of LEGO Star Wars brick, very common in all of those sets that released in 2024, but still nice to have, I guess, though I definitely feel like they went a little overboard with that brick, and it definitely doesn't have as much luster as some of the other ones have. Now, you do have these printed tiles, one saying LEGO Star Wars, and then a quote from Qui-Gon Jinn, which says, "Remember, concentrate on the moment, feel, don't think, use your instincts." So that one's definitely nice, what he says to Anakin right before he goes into the pod racer race, which is pretty nice. Now, you can take the individual pod racers off their stand if you want to, as they aren't attached super well or anything like that. So here you can take off Saboba's pod racer, and it looks pretty nice. You can see some nice sticker detail here that definitely aids the set and makes it look pretty nice there. Even stickers there. Oh, don't want to drop that. No stickers on this side, but you can see the parts that it attaches to there, and then more stickers there. Looks very nice, I have to say. And of course, this little piece here is supposed to represent Saboba, which, again, it's at micro scale, so it doesn't really matter, but it works okay, I guess. I do really like this book, though, or this build. It does really capture the look, and It's even bigger than what you would get in like a polybag build, I feel like, even though it is sort of that. So it's definitely a lot more detailed than what you would have gotten if it was just a polybag. So that's definitely nice. And basically, you can see this part here. That's where it sort of connects to have him, you know, driving or flying ahead of Anakin there. So, and then of course there is also Anakin, which you can also pop off with some additional pieces. I'm just gonna leave that on because it'll make it easier to reattach. But you can see this is supposed to be Anakin. You have some more sticker detail on both sides there, which looks pretty nice. I do think, again, this really does capture the look of Anakin's pod racer incredibly well, using these, you know, ski pieces, essentially, to represent, you know, these turbine pieces, which looks excellent. And you can see it just looks really, really good, I have to say. Again, this part is where it is attached to down here. Now, some people have brought up the fact that it is kind of funny that you can't even fit Sebulba's pod racer through this hole, which, again, doesn't really matter, but it's still kind of funny. They could have just extended it like a brick higher and then it would have been fine. Obviously, that just means you kind of can't have any customization and have Anakin be ahead of Sebulba or anything like that. And just to show what I mean, I'll just grab these two ones off, just to show, like, as you can see, like right here, like it doesn't fit, like, really at all, getting it through there. So that's just fun. So you can't put Sebulba's in the back, unfortunately. He kind of has to stay at the front in the lead, even though we know that Anakin did take some periodic leads during their race. So that's definitely not the best. And again, it just is like if they added one brick, because it was slightly fitting. If it was just one brick higher, it would have fit. So just a little oversight there. Again, they designed it to only have Sebulba's in front, but it would have been nice to have that customization there to, you know, have Anakin swooping in front like we do see during the race. So you could display it how you wanted to, rather than having only one way to display it. Now, take a look at the back. You can see some of the detail they used in order to create the rock formations. Looks pretty nice overall, but at the end of the day, you know, it's just barren there. It is nice though that you can place it flat against the wall. There's no like pieces that are sticking out that would block it at all, like on some other diorama sets. So that's definitely good in my opinion. Overall though, that is basically it. These diorama sets don't really generally have any playable features, especially ones like this. But now let's compare it to some of those other dioramas. Take a look at some of the other dioramas. Just to compare, we obviously have the one that is closest to this one, being the Trench Run diorama here, with of course Luke's X-Wing flying through the trench run of the Death Star from A New Hope, with Darth Vader and the TIE Fighters chasing after him. So again, this one's going to be the most similar to it, just because of the fact that it is microfighters and doesn't have any minifigures. Still would like to have some figures included in these sets. I'm always going to be a minifigure guy. I think they should be in almost every LEGO set. Even if it isn't to scale, I just think it makes sense, especially in sets like these. Now, taking a look at one that does have a minifigure, but also has the brick from Return of the Jedi. So you have the speeder bike chase diorama, and just to show it in scale, like it's very, very similar size-wise. Well, in fact, this one's actually a little bit smaller, I should say, but you can get an idea with the environment and whatnot. Definitely looks pretty nice. Really, the one thing that all these dioramas have in common is the fact of how overpriced they were, especially compared to some of the other dioramas, which I think were actually a little bit better priced, since you got a little bit more. Those being, of course, the Final Duel diorama, the Trash Compactor diorama, and the Yoda's Hut diorama. Like, all those were expensive, but I felt like the value was a little bit more fair than what we got in these particular dioramas, which you can actually see some of them in the background there. Specifically, of course, the Death Star 2 diorama from the Final Duel. There is a real possibility that this is the last diorama set we will ever get. While we might... You never know with LEGO Star Wars. Like, they said the helmet line was dead, and then they released helmets this year. In fact, 3 helmets, not just one. Like, they released AT-AT, Pilot, Django, and Kylo Ren helmets. So, also, we didn't get any dioramas this year. Doesn't mean we won't get any in the future, but also doesn't guarantee we're going to get it. You know, some speculation has been that we'll get helmets and dioramas every other year, which is a possibility, but it's speculation until it happens. It's unfortunate that this one is the only prequel diorama we got, especially this year being the 20th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars, and a lot of people were really excited for some dioramas this year in particular, but we didn't end up getting any, presumably because of how poorly some of these previous ones have been selling. Like, even ones I think have been good, I don't think we're selling particularly well, which is unfortunate because I think the diorama concept is a great concept. I just think LEGO has really tried to upsell or upcharge these sets just because they're targeted towards adults, and this one's no different. Like, yes, it's a very nice display piece. It's not worth 100 Canadian dollars or 80 US dollars. I got this one during the May the 4th sale where it was about 15% off, so that's 85 Canadian dollars. Even that I think is a bit much, but then you get a little bit of the VIP points as well included there, so that brings it closer to like about 22% off, or 15% off, and then like 7.5% back basically, because obviously since you're not getting the full VIP points you would have got if you paid full price, or any double points as well. So at the end of the day, it's definitely a set to get on sale, because once it's gone, it's gone. Like, there's a chance, like I said, that this is the very last diorama set we'll ever get, and that's unfortunate. But I do like it overall. I just think I definitely prefer the dioramas that actually come with minifigures. I get why they chose to do this one. Specifically, this one kind of fell in line with the 25 years of the Phantom Menace. So having a Phantom Menace diorama makes a ton of sense, especially for it releasing last year. I just, wish it wasn't the only prequel diorama we ended up getting, and really do hope the diorama line continues and LEGO reduces the price slightly to help the sets sell, because if you list it at its higher price point, it's not going to do well. Then they're just going to be like, oh, they're not selling, when the reality is it's just too expensive in today's economy to have sets at that price point. But at the end of the day, that's all my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on the LEGO Star Wars Mos Espa Podrace diorama in the comments down below. Have you guys picked up this set, or are you planning to? Please like and subscribe if you have enjoyed, and have a great day, everyone.